Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, peewees across the globe, we are proud to present to you episode, what is this, 6?
Should be six, yeah.
Yeah, episode 6, season 2 of the Fat Five Bettors Podcast. Of course, this episode sponsored by our Discord. If you're not in the Discord, you need to go ahead and join it. It is free of charge. We do not charge. Join, come have fun, talk some trash, and let's win some bets. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter if you're not already doing that as well. At the Fat Five Bettors on Twitter. So, I think I pretty much got everything. Joey is here. Ryan is here as well.
Hello,
No Gabe today. No
Hello, my fellow
cornbread.
people.
Cornbread is on his way to
South Dakota.
South Dakota.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah. So let's go ahead and get this show on the road. Get this show cracking and whatnot.
hmm
Of course, Super Bowl was this past week.
hmm
What is it, Super Bowl 58?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. Super Bowl 58 was this past weekend, and it was a very boresome Super Bowl up
Mhm.
until
Second half.
The
the
second
second half.
half, yeah.
But in the end, the Kansas City Chiefs come out on top for the second straight year in a row, their third title in the last 5 years. 25-22 is the final score. Of course, there's plenty of things that we could talk about as far as this game goes, but I think the main thing that really boils down to, the main thing that we really want to focus on here, the Chiefs.
hmm
Is this, of course, now I'm going to go around, ask questions, but just to think, 3 Super Bowls in the last 5 years. And they've appeared in the Super Bowl 4 times in the last 5 years.
hmm
Just imagine if they didn't lose that 1 year against the Bucks. Just imagine. That's insane to think about. That means this team could have won 4 Super Bowls in the last 5 seasons.
hmm That's wild.
To let alone win 2 in the last 5 years, it's hard because it's just, I feel like people start to underestimate how hard it is to compete in the league like the NFL.
hmm
This league has become more and more and more competitive as the years go by. You see the talent that comes in, the NFL, and you're just like, the NFL's in good hands for the next couple of years.
hmm I agree.
But it's like for one team to pretty much dominate and win like the Chiefs have, it seems nearly impossible because this league is just getting better and better by the day.
Agreed.
Yep.
So the question of the day is, do the Chiefs officially have their dynasty? Starting with Joey, what are your thoughts on the whole dynasty thing when it comes
All
to
right, so I'm kind of glad you did start with me. The Kansas City Swifties are becoming a legit dynasty.
Swifties.
Look, Taylor Swift comes aboard. They win a Super Bowl, man. Travis Kelce had to yell at Big Andy, like, "Look, Andy, my girl is gonna make a bad song about me if we lose this shit, Andy. Can't do it."
hmm
And look what happened. Second half, Travis Kelce came alive. He may not have scored, but he woke up and had some big key plays. But honestly, I do think they are going to become a dynasty in the AFC. They're getting better in key spots that previous years they weren't, the best at. Like their defense was mediocre. Now their secondary is one of the betters in the league. They couldn't really have a run game, but now Isaiah Pacheco's in the mix, and he's just going to keep getting better and better coming into the league. Honestly, if they can at least just maintain, a decent portion of the guys, they're not old, so they're still got plenty of young contracts. I think this team can keep getting better and better, honestly, and keep contending for the ideal spot of representing the AFC going for the future.
Ryan, do you have any thoughts?
I think the most surprising thing to me is just the way they've been able to kind of do what they've been doing without like not a big name wide receiver, but without like a guy. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, maybe with She Rice and now possibly. Miko Hardman was never a big piece of that offense just because they had like Tyreek Hill and obviously they have Travis Kelce. We all know what he's capable of doing week in and week out when he wants to. Um, but like doing it without like a big name wide receiver, it kind of just shows you at the end of the day, not necessarily just about Patrick Mahomes, but it's the play calling from the
Mm-hmm.
offensive coordinator and Andy Reid to like be able to scheme guys open. Like we saw the play they ran to win the Super Bowl. It was kind of a almost reminded me of an Alabama of a Clemson
Clemson.
end zone right to beat Alabama there in that national championship game. Obviously there was no pick play, but like it was still kind of a similar idea. But I think the testament to this team is it's incredible to just see what they do year in and year out. Like it's really impressive to me because you look at this team and you thought, I mean, Chris Jones I believe held out into training camp, didn't know if you were going to get a deal done, got a deal done. Granted, he came out and said after the game that he's not going anywhere. I think they're either working on an extension or they've already come to an agreement on an extension. That's neither here nor there, but like I think if you just look at the way they were able to play this year, I mean they went what 10-6 I think in the regular season. They lost some games that
Uh, yeah, I think so.
they lost some games that probably shouldn't have, but you did. I mean, at the end of the day, the division was never in doubt just because that division wasn't what it should have been this year. Um, I mean, you had kind of the fading away from the spotlight a little bit in Clyde Edwards-Helaire. You had the emergence this year of Isaiah Pacheco. We kind of knew what he was last year, but yeah, I think it just says a lot about kind of where this team is and kind of their not their mentality, but like their view of the future and kind of what
Mhm.
they have.
Um, I mean, y'all pretty much hit the nail right on the head. It's just like for them to do it last year, of course, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
no Tyreek Hill.
Nope.
Tyreek Hill was traded to the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
But what that trade did, it's just it made it clear that Patrick Mahomes is truly the difference maker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill is great receiver. But let's
But
be honest here. Patrick Mahomes is the reason why the Kansas City Chiefs keep making it to the Super Bowl every single year.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
This is why now a lot of people have, gave scrutiny because of the whole deal that he got, $500 million. That is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But there is a reason why it's people like Patrick Mahomes that get paid so much money to play football. There's a
Mm-hmm.
reason.
I agree.
There is a reason. And it's clear as day now. We all saw what Patrick Mahomes did in the Super Bowl. We all saw it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just at the end of the day, yeah, losing a receiver like Tyreek Hill is definitely a big blow. But to not only win the Super Bowl one year and then go back to back the next year, that's unheard of. That is truly unheard of.
I agree.
So honestly, I mean, I already know Tyreek Hill is a little sick seeing Kansas City keep winning without him. I mean,
I'm
he
not
got
gonna lie
one
to you.
with
I
him.
think it's kind of funny.
I think it's funny. I think it's absolutely hilarious because it's just a matter of this is what you signed up for. You wanted more money, you went and got more money. But now your former team has won 2 Super Bowls without you. What do you say to that then? I mean, me personally, I don't think there's anything you really can say.
Nope.
No, I agree.
But a lot of people were scrutinizing the Niners for taking the ball first, especially with the new overtime rules that has been in play since when did they switch those overtime rules?
Last year,
Yeah, I think yeah. So a lot of people were scrutinizing San Fran for wanting the ball first, and I don't know about y'all. I don't know about y'all,
mm-hmm.
but when you're playing somebody like Patrick Mahomes and Kansas City Chiefs, I want the ball first.
I agree.
Yep.
I want the ball first because here's the thing: you get the ball first, you go down. Granted, in San Fran's case, they scored a field goal,
Mm-hmm.
but you get down first, you go down the field, you score, you put pressure on that other team
Of
to
course.
have to come down and score back. Now, they could have scored a touchdown. They could have, but they did not.
Yeah.
Now, that is the only thing about it. You go down the field, they push down the field and only got 3. You can't
Mm-hmm.
get 3 in this point because
No.
we already know what comes with Patrick Mahomes and getting the ball in these clutch situations.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
A touchdown is being scored, whether you like it or not.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of this is this is just solely you got to know what you're dealing with,
Of
and
course.
you just have to you just got to deal with it.
Mm-hmm.
You really have to lie. You have to lay in the grave that you dug yourself in.
Yeah.
Because it was a lot of situations where San Fran could have blew this game wide open.
I agree.
They could have blew the game wide open. And it's just bad decision making, a lot of miscues.
Mm-hmm.
It's bad. It's bad. So my thing is that, you know, sometimes you just gotta live with it. That's the only thing. You just have to know, Patrick Mahomes, he's gonna come down. They're gonna score a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to score one too. And if you don't, you lost the game at that point. You lost the game. So
What do you what do you make of the not the excuse that the 49ers were making about not knowing the overtime rules, but do you buy that like at all?
I mean, I do and I don't because to be fair, a lot of people didn't know about the overtime rules until recently, obviously. But
Mm-hmm.
me personally, I mean, you got to know these rules. You
Yeah,
have
I
to.
agree.
Like you got to know these. Like this is important. This is do or die. At that
Mm-hmm.
point, you got to know these. I mean, we all saw the whole Chiefs Bills thing. That's why the rules got changed.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, you got to know, like, hey, these are the rules. We have to know this.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I don't think you just go out there and you're like, oh, we didn't know the overtime rules. No, you got to know. You
Yeah.
have to.
Agreed.
There's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I was watching. I seen a clip on TikTok the other day. Um, it was when Drake Greenlaw got hurt,
Oh, damn.
and when I tell you, you could just feel for Fred Warner.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was bad. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Like watching that clip, all you hear is a loud no,
Yeah.
because Fred already knew what it was the
Mm-hmm.
minute he saw him go down. And I gotta be quite honest with y'all, man. Like that is rough,
Yes, it is.
especially seeing your teammate, someone you call a brother, your family. Like that's rough.
Yes. Yes, it is.
That is truly rough. So, I definitely felt for Fred, and a lot of people were saying, Dre Greenlaw was the difference maker in that game,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe it because that Kansas City offense was in check for most of the half,
Mm-hmm.
and then finally, Kansas City eventually woke up, but Dre Greenlaw was not on the field.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like maybe Dre Greenlaw was the difference maker. Maybe he did make a difference on the field. Maybe he did.
Yeah. And
But
obviously, we'll never know the true
we'll never
extent.
know. Right. We'll never know at this point because the game's over, said and done already.
Yeah.
So but just seeing that clip, you had to feel for for Fred Warner, man, because that was rough.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, just seeing him go down and all you heard was no, and like you already knew
Mm-hmm.
exactly what happened as soon as it happened.
Yeah.
But obviously another topic that comes up when it comes to the Super Bowl is Brock Purdy.
Mm-hmm.
Um Brock Purdy, I'm just gonna be straightforward with you guys. Brock Purdy did not have the best game ever.
No, I agree.
Not this game. And I don't know how everybody else feels about it. I don't know what everybody else, thinks about it, but Brock Purdy just showed me why the hype is just it's not there. The hype is it's just all hype. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Yes, he's 20-4 as a starter in the regular season.
Mm-hmm.
He's taken his team to the NFC Championship twice, Super Bowl Super Bowl appearance in his second year. That's
Mm-hmm.
great and all, but where is the Brock Purdy that everybody kept talking about? That Brock Purdy didn't show up on Super Bowl Sunday.
No.
That Brock Purdy was nowhere to be found.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think it's just, he's definitely got some, it's only his second year, so I'm not really charging it too much to the game. But at the same time, I think we have to start letting the game, letting these players. I feel like this applies to a lot of young players, not just Brock Purdy. This applies to a lot of young players.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like we should let these players play their game, and later on, we talk about, oh, are they this, are they that? What can we expect from them?
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Because when you set these high expectations, you set a high bar for guys so young, and then when they don't deliver, then you're just like, well, damn, like, What happened?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what we see a lot of times with a lot of young players. That's what we set these high bars for people, and it just does not work out in their favor.
Mm-hmm.
Then what? I mean, Ryan, if you have something to add to that, I mean, by all means. But I'm just, I feel like we have to just let them play ball.
I think, and I'm gonna start by saying this. We had talked about the week leading up about people putting Brock Purdy on a pedestal.
Mhm.
Fans and I won't say the league, but fans were putting Brock Purdy on a pedestal. Now, granted, did he play bad? No. Um, it didn't help that like McCaffrey never really got going. Devo, was it Devo that got hurt at one point and had to leave the game for a little bit with the knee injury or whatever the hell it was?
Yeah.
That didn't help. Like it never found. I never feel like they were like. It wasn't like the Chiefs where they were kind of like clicking on all cylinders the entire game. And I noticed that a lot with the 49ers throughout the years. They kind of started slower, but once they found their groove and they got running, forget it, it was over. Because,
Mhm.
like, once they, like, got a big run from McCaffrey or, like, got a big pass from Debo or Brandon Ayuk or whatever, like, once they hit that shot play, like that one shot play, that kind of, like, woke the team up, they're like, okay, here we go. We're going to put our foot on the gas and beat you by 20. But, like, that never happened. And now, obviously, it's the Super Bowl, so it's different. But, like, I never feel like they were fully comfortable within themselves for that entire game. It's kind of um what I'm kind of feeling, if you know what I mean.
Mhm. Um, Joey, if you have any thoughts.
Pretty much, I don't. Pretty much everything that Ryan said. Pretty much hit everything that I was gonna point out to an extent, to a degree.
Okay. Now, obviously, with the Super Bowl and the NFL season coming to a close, we do have some way too early NFL power rankings.
Mm,
Now, of course,
I haven't even looked at them. I'm not gonna lie to you.
this is let me find it. ESPN has put out the way too early power rankings,
Mm-hmm.
and you know this is just based on the off season, based on who will be coming back, who is leaving, who could be this is just based on that. So
Mm-hmm.
number one, currently sitting at top of the way too early power rankings are the Baltimore Ravens. Now, the Ravens have 25 unrestricted free agents, including 15 who could be on their way out. They are what I consider, the team that could have been,
I agree.
which, I feel like they will be right back in the same position that they were in, this past year, next year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, let's be completely honest. We're talking about the Baltimore Ravens when Lamar Jackson is completely healthy, 100% healthy at that. And on top of that, he has guys that he can count on to catch the ball. Mark Andrews, Zay Flowers now. And, it's just this team, they become reliable
Mm-hmm.
for Lamar now. Because, in my personal opinion, and I can't speak for everyone else, but you can have a good quarterback all you want.
Yeah.
If you don't have guys that can catch the ball and do their job, that good quarterback doesn't mean anything.
No,
Exactly.
exactly.
It just doesn't. For example, the whole Bryce Young situation in Carolina. He's a great quarterback, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing quarterback. But when you're not putting him in a position to succeed, especially with the O line and the receivers that you give him,
Mm-hmm.
what do you expect him to do with that?
Nothing.
It's not. It's not 1 versus 11.
Mm-hmm.
It's 11 versus 11 for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
All 11 guys have to do their job on the field. Granted, did Bryce Young do his job very well this year? No, he didn't. I'm not taking that away for sure. But what I'm saying here is that you cannot expect quarterbacks to do all the work when they don't have any pieces to assist.
Yeah.
When you have no pieces to help the team out, you can't expect anything to happen. You can't expect everything to happen. You
Mm-hmm.
just can't. So Baltimore is sitting at number 1. Kansas City is right behind Baltimore at number 2.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Chris Jones is potentially on his way out. They did not give him a long-term contract. Obviously we mentioned the holdout situation. Ryan, you mentioned it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a
That's gonna
possibility.
be that's a big piece of that the off season right there. Like that's massive, because we just talked about it. He was the one of the instrumental reasons that they were able to do so well defensively this year. Um, which obviously kind of snowballed into, as Gabe would say, the best cornerback duo in the NFL, according to him. Ladarius Snee and Trent McDuffie having the years they did. I don't think that's the case. You can debate Gabe on that. You'll debate a wall. You'll probably just end up getting mad and not want to debate it anymore. But I I think you have to bring him back, and I think you have to bring him back because of the fact that what else do you have on that defensive line outside of him and George Karlaftis? Like, there's not much. Am I wrong there?
No.
Nah.
Because if you don't bring him back, you've got what, Karlaftis, and that's like it.
It.
So
Right.
the only issue, and this is going to be the biggest problem, is I think we all know he wants to get paid. Now, granted, can Kansas City pay him? I don't know if they can pay him what he wants because they've got so much money still wrapped up in Mahomes and Kelsey, even though they've been like restructuring their contracts and whatnot. I don't know how much that's really going to help them. Now, granted, they still have to play Ladarius Sneed too. He's a free agent. They shouldn't even let him walk out the door. Honestly, if I were Kansas City, you know what I'd do? As painful as this was for me to do, I'd probably prioritize Ladarius Sneed over Chris Jones.
Mm-hmm.
You can find good defensive linemen. You can't always find good corners everywhere you go. And Maul, you know that. You've coached football. You've played football.
Right.
Especially, and plus, too, I'll just finish it with this. Especially in the draft. And Joey, you know this. It's a lot easier to find a defensive lineman to just kind of plug and play than it is to find a good cornerback who's going to do what you want them to do.
Exactly.
But I'll say this. I think there's more of a chance that Jones walks than them giving him an extension at the end of the day.
Okay. The Niners sit at number 3, and ESPN has their offseason in 3 words: keep Brandon Ayuk.
Yeah, I have to. Don't have a choice.
Brandon Ayuk has posted a career year at 75 receptions for 1,300 receiving yards and 7 touchdowns.
I'm surprised he's a free agent already.
I think it's clear as day. You got to keep him.
Mm-hmm.
Brandon Ayuk has single-handedly become the best receiver on the team.
Yeah, I mean, look at it's the chemistry of it's the chemistry that he has with Purdy. It's insane. And they showed that during Super Bowl. Just kind of how well they play together.
Right. He has 1 year left on his rookie deal. So if you can go in now, offer a deal so that rookie deal, expires and the new contract starts, or you can wait until next year, next season, next off season,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to offer a big contract. It just depends on what route you want to go.
Yeah. Agreed.
Um, number 4 is the Detroit Lions. And their offseason in 3 words is address the defense.
Yeah.
Now, um, I don't know about you guys. I mean, Joey, I'll ask you. Um, the defense. The defense did not really show up. I mean, they showed up in the first half. Second
Just
half was just a
there were no.
downfall. How do you go about readjusting this defense if you had to?
So going into the season, even in the Lions making it this far, that's an accomplishment by his damn self. Because no one expected Detroit to be as good as they were this year for the most. Are they still, they still need to get younger in some spots. They got some veterans that are getting up there. They just got to honestly keep nailing in free agents. They can bring in some key guys, free agency. Maybe even get some good depth guys for the draft, and hopefully keep building the overall philosophy they got going. And yes, it sucks giving up that lead the way they did. I would know because my Eagles did the same thing in the Super Bowl, unfortunately. But you just got to try to learn and try to grow from it. Like, you know, yeah, it sucks that your first half defense looked great. Second half, I couldn't tell you where the hell they at. Maybe they were still in the locker room. But you got to live and learn. You got to just try to forget about the past and try to keep growing as a team, as a unit. And if the Detroit can do that, I see no problem with them potentially even getting back to the NFC Championship game again.
Okay. And in the rounding out the top 5 in the way too early power rankings is the Buffalo Bills.
Mm.
Boo.
And their offseason in 3 words is make smart decisions. Now, they are estimated to have about 50 million over in cap. So, you know, I mean, whether that's, to go for potentially another receiver option, because clearly, Stephon Diggs and Gabe Davis isn't doing it.
Nope.
But that's neither here or there. I mean, Ryan, you are the opposition of the Buffalo Bills in the
Mm-hmm.
AFC. What do you see the Bills doing as far as business goes this postseason? Yeah.
So I've got 2 problems with the Bills.
Hmm.
Obviously, we know Josh Allen what he can do. We saw the emergence of James Cook. He looks like he's going to be the future back in Buffalo for a while. You did kind of have a rotating cast of coaches behind him. Ladarius Murray, Leonard Fournette. I'm sure there were others that I'm forgetting. Um, but if you look at it, it comes down to 2 problems: the lack of a the lack of a number 2 wide receiver, and the inability to stay healthy on the defensive side of the football. Forget what level you were on, whether it was the defensive line, the linebackers, the defensive backfield.
Hmm.
Um, we know this. Hyde and Poyer aren't getting any younger. Um, I'm trying to remember whether if it was Hyde or Poyer's wife after the season kind of put on a post thanking the fans of Buffalo and like the community and everything just because they didn't know what the future held, because we don't know whether those guys are coming back or not. Um, Obviously, losing Matt Milano to that torn ACL, was that middle of the year, I think, didn't help them at all. Um, Obviously, it kind of set up the emergence of AJ Epinesa a little bit. AJ Klein was able to kind of fill in. The defensive line was good, not great. That defensive line's not getting any younger. Um, ah, I'll bite my tongue on Tyler Bass. I think he's a really good kicker. I just think he missed the field goal at the end of the game because he ultimately just. It's not that he just missed it wrong. He just wasn't paying attention to which way the wind was blowing at the end of the day. I mean, if he aimed a little bit more to the left, it curves back to the right, and he probably makes the fucker. But I think I think you're running out of time. And I'm saying that because of the fact that I think, yes, we know Brandon Beane's a hell of a GM. Yes, we know Sean McDermott has made some questionable decisions late in games, yada, yada, yada. That just kind of is what it is at this point. Um, but I think if you don't win in the next 2 or 3 years, you're going to have to tear it down and start over. I think your window is, if you're the Buffalo Bills, your window is closing. It's not closing it fast, but I think it's starting to close. I mean, Josh Allen's what, almost 30 now? How
Yeah,
old
I
is he?
think
He's
so.
29? I'm gonna look right now and see how
Could
old
be
he is.
potentially. Yeah.
Mm, Josh Allen is. He is 20. Okay, no, he's 27. Never mind. I forgot he was born in 96, so I'm technically older than Josh Allen. But, like, I don't know how you do this, but you got to get younger on the defensive side of the football. I will say this. The one thing about the Bills that was really good about this year was, as we know, their first round draft pick last year was Dalton Kincaid. We saw the absolute taking by storm Dalton Kincaid had on the NFL this year when Dawson Knox went down. That's a step in the right direction for the tight end room. I don't know what kind of a contract Dawson Knox has left. Obviously, he was in and out of the lineup most of the year. He was never really healthy. Like, he wasn't 100% healthy, which is a bit of a worry. But I mean, that just kind of comes down to taking care of yourself at the end of the day, taking care of your body, kind of doing the right thing. But I don't know. I think you can go get a number 2 wide receiver in free agency. Probably wouldn't hurt drafting another wide receiver either. The problem is that they're what in like the bottom. They're like in the bottom 5. No, they're in the bottom 4 of the NFL draft because it's working backwards. It's Kansas City. I think it's Kansas City, San Francisco, and then the 2 other AFC losers there. But you're going to be waiting a bit for talent, which is not ideal. However, this is a pretty deep cornerback class. Um, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, it's what you want to do. Like, do you want to go get a wide receiver right away? Do you want to try and grab somebody in free agency? Do you want to draft a cornerback, try and show up that defensive backfield? I mean, there's a lot of different things they have to address. But I think it has to start with getting a number 2 wide receiver. If you don't do that this offseason, you're just screwing yourself, and you're digging yourself a deeper hole.
Okay. Um. Let's see. I think we pretty much covered the NFL as is. Let's see. What else do we got? Caitlin Clark
Yeah,
has officially broken the well, not W, the women's
women's college
college
basketball
basketball
scoring.
scoring record that was set by Kelsey Plum. She recently just broke that. What was that, like
It's like,
Thursday night, Wednesday
yeah, I
night?
think so. Did you? She did it in Caitlin Clark style too. Fucking
It
logo 3.
did it in Caitlin Clark.
Jesus.
Did it in
Did you see
Caitlin.
that?
Yeah, I did. I
That was
saw the clip.
stupid.
Did it in Caitlin Clark style and also dropped 49 points to end the night.
She dropped double. I think she had like 49 and 13.
Yeah.
Um, you know that a player is going to be special going from college to the NBA when you got people like Stephen A. Smith, or the WNBA like Stephen A. Smith and Brian Windhorst, like all the media personality.
Mhm.
Stephen A. Smith called her a generational talent. That's
Right.
not something you just throw out there,
Yeah.
and especially Stephen A. Smith. Um, but like, I mean, congrats to her. She's from Iowa, hometown kid. I think she's actually from Des Moines. So like, she's
Hmm.
a hometown kid. I don't think she had a lot of stars or whatever coming out of high school. Wasn't super heavily recruited. Ended up at Iowa and just kind of took off from there. Um, she's. I'm curious to see how they do in the women's NCAA tournament this year. They should get a 1 seed. It's
Mm-hmm.
just gonna matter who's in the bracket is gonna be the problem, I think, for them. And they have the stars, they have the players around her to do it. It's just a matter of whether they can. And I think they can. Now, if you run into like a South Carolina, like somebody like rough, kind of later on in the tournament, I mean, you're gonna have to get a complete team effort, which is fine. I think
Right.
they can do it, but you can't just all of a sudden be up by 14 on Nebraska and then losing in overtime. Like that can't happen. And I was still shocked at that. When I saw that result later that night when that happened, that night when that happened, I was like, they what? And
Mm-hmm.
it's not that I don't think they can, that they're not invincible by any means. They're not South Carolina good. They're good, but they're not South Carolina good. Um, but yeah, congrats to Caitlin. I don't know if you saw the announcement that Paige Beckford is coming back to UConn next year.
Yeah, I seen that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
They're gonna be. I think that's actually probably her best decision too, just because of the fact that I mean she's still coming off that torn ACL, which is I mean in a lot of sports it's tough to come back from, but especially in basketball. I would argue basketball and football are probably the two hardest sports to come back from with ACL injuries,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're planting, you're cutting, you're moving, you're thinking probably every couple minutes or so you're like, oh my god, if I plant, is my knee gonna go again?
Right.
Um, but like that's a massive help for them. And then uh, while we're on the topic of college basketball, we got our we got our first look at the um, we got our first look at the NCAA's committee rankings.
Mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find them. NCAA basketball top 16. So here's what the current top 4 seeds would look like in each region. This is this is fun. Um, in the Midwest, you would have Purdue as the 1, Tennessee as the 2, Baylor as the 3, San Diego State as the 4. You would have UConn in the East region in Boston. You would have UConn, North Carolina, Iowa State, and Wisconsin. I don't agree with the Wisconsin one, but that's not that's here nor there. Um,
Right.
in the West, you would have Arizona, Kansas, Duke, and Auburn. And then in the South, you would have Houston, Marquette, Alabama, and Illinois. I tell you right now, I wouldn't want to be in that Arizona, Kansas, Duke, and Auburn bracket. That's
Mm-hmm.
not fun. I mean, you're either gonna see Purdue or UConn end up at the top overall seed in the tournament. It's just gonna be a matter of who doesn't lose a game first. Unfortunately, it's gonna come down to who doesn't lose a game first. Um,
Right.
I'm hoping. I mean, if I had it my way, we'd get a Purdue UConn national championship. But I don't know how the bracket's gonna shake out, like where they'll be positioned. Like we could get them in the Final Four instead of the national championship, which would kind of suck.
Mm-hmm.
But like, we still gotta. I don't know. I think we've only got like in the month or so until. I think we have a month from today. We'll have an NCAA tournament bracket. But well, we got spring training baseball soon, very
We
soon.
do.
Um, I'm sure we'll do a MLB preview probably in a few weeks, a couple
Yeah.
weeks here. Is there anything else that we have for the pod?
No, I do not. I'm not sure.
Kind of been a not a ho hum week in sports. Obviously, with the Super Bowl, it's a big deal, but like, I mean, now we're kind of in that in between period of like, okay, we have the NBA. It's All Star weekend, so that's kind of is what it is at this
Mm-hmm.
point. Um, the NHL is kind of just doing its thing. Obviously, we don't have anything for another couple weeks for baseball. So we're kind of like this is kind of really in between season, isn't it?
Right. Literally, this is where things kind of calm down a little bit, and then things will start to pick up right back in March.
Mm-hmm. Because in March you'll have conference tournaments for college basketball, and then you'll have the NCAA tournament. You'll have baseball getting underway, which will be nice to see. That'll mean that normally when I see pitchers and catchers reporting to spring training, I'm like, okay, we only got like a month and a half till spring. Let's go.
Right.
Um, I want your opinion on something before we wrap up because I
Sure.
saw this. It made national headlines. It's been talked about. I'm assuming you heard about the whole LeBron Steph Curry thing that happened, or that was
Yeah.
allegedly happened, or what could happen. I don't know what we. I don't really know what went down. I just know that there were talks at one point that the Lakers and Warriors had of like LeBron leaving LA to go team up with Steph. Like, do you think we would ever see that happen?
I
People are
don't.
saying it could happen in the summer, but like I don't even think that's. It doesn't feel possible because I feel like they'd have
I
to move so much.
Yeah, I don't think so for the sole fact. I mean, we like it's history here that
Yeah,
we're
it is.
talking about.
Mhm.
You got um two of the best players, of this generation, honestly,
Mhm. Agreed.
and they've always been on opposite sides of history.
Mhm.
Whether
Yeah.
it's, you know, LeBron and the Cavs coming back from 3-1 lead, or whether it's, Steph, you know, they won that one year that they went back to those 2 years they went back to back that had
Mhm.
Katie on that team.
Yes.
Like they're on both sides of history, regardless.
Yeah.
But there's opposite sides to this history, and I feel like if it gets to the point where it's like, okay, like, yeah, maybe we do need to team up, because I think a lot of people are starting to realize that the league is only getting younger.
Of course. Oh my God, it's getting younger a lot faster. A
It's
lot
getting
faster.
younger at a faster rate, because
Mhm.
when you think about the NBA, you see a lot of guys coming into the league that are 19,
20.
20, 21 years
Yeah.
old. These guys are young, man.
Mhm.
They're
Agreed.
young, and on top of them being young, they're all of them are coming in straight out of college, straight
What
out of
it's a
high school.
it's a one
I
and
mean,
done.
actually, no, I take high school back, because they changed that rule.
Yeah.
So these guys are freshmen and sophomores leaving college, going to play professional basketball.
Mhm.
These guys are coming in very fast. That's why a lot of people are starting to realize this league is only getting younger.
Yeah. Agreed.
So if you want to play with somebody that you never got the chance to really play with in the NBA, this is where now it starts to happen.
You kind of have to do it now, or
Yeah,
else.
literally now you kind of have to do it, because like you're going against guys that are 27, 28, 26.
Mhm.
Meanwhile, Curry's on the verge of 40. LeBron is what, turning,
38.
I
Let me
think he
see.
turns 40 this year.
He might
So
actually
it's
already
like
be 40.
he
He
might actually
is.
be 40.
He is 39. He will turn 40 on December 30th.
Yeah, so he'll be 40 this year. So it's just like you gotta. This is what's happening.
Steph is 35.
Yeah.
He'll turn
So
36. He's already going to be 36 in March.
hmm
Man, I remember when he was just coming out of college at Davidson. Oh God.
right, literally.
Damn.
So honestly, if it does happen, I think that would be amazing.
Mhm.
Just for the sole fact that we've a lot of people have grown up watching Steph Curry versus LeBron.
Mhm.
We never got the chance to see Steph Curry and LeBron
No,
on the same team.
we got Steph and KD.
Yeah, which was amazing,
Yeah.
but we never got the chance to see Bron and Steph. So
No, I know.
that would be something, in my opinion. That would
Yeah.
be something. But I think that's pretty much it for the pod today, man. Of course, we're trying to keep it light. Everything's kind of just slowing down at this moment. We will start the combine is next month,
Mm-hmm.
I believe. Combine's
Combine
next.
is next month. Pro days will be kind of in the week or so following whatever. Teams kind of do their pro days normally shortly after the combine.
Right. So combine is next month. Um, Everything's starting to kind of pick back up into gear. Once March hits,
Mm-hmm.
we'll have spring training. We'll have college basketball on a heavy slate.
Mm-hmm.
This is where college basketball gets interesting.
Oh my God, Creighton just beat Butler 79-57. Oof.
Uh,
Um, I'm excited. I will say this. I'm excited for baseball season. Very
yeah,
excited for baseball season.
for sure. But yeah, we kept it light today, guys. So you can always go back and listen to our older podcast episodes. They are up on YouTube as we speak, and they're on Spotify. We will start uploading um podcasts to Apple Podcasts, and we'll try to get the other platforms running because
Yeah, I'd like to end up on Apple Podcasts. That'd be kind of cool.
yeah, because we don't want to be just strictly on
Just
Spotify and
Spotify.
YouTube because
Yeah.
not a lot of people have Spotify, nor not a lot of people use YouTube like
Not a
that.
lot of
So
other. Speaking of Spotify, not a lot of people that I know even listen to Spotify anymore. Like
right,
it
I
feels
mean,
like Spotify is now becoming what Pandora used to be when Spotify came out, because it was like Spotify, then Pandora, or like Pandora, then kind of Apple Music, and then Spotify, and
yeah,
now it's like Spotify's like, oh my God, you still use Spotify?
right,
All
yeah,
my
but
friends that I work with, they're like, oh my God, you still use Spotify? I'm like, yeah.
but yeah, so we're gonna start getting those uploaded to other platforms very soon. So be on the
Hmm.
lookout for that. Um, but that's pretty much all I have. Ryan, any final remarks?
Oh, yeah. The Phillies picked up Whit Merrifield a couple days ago. That's a nice depth middle infield piece that they'll have. I mean, he's not going to start, obviously. I think he was a shortstop in Casey, but you're not starting over Trey Turner. But like, you can definitely bring him off the bench if you have
Hmm.
to. And we're still waiting on like Blake Snell to sign. There's like four Scott Boras players that he represents that still haven't signed yet because he's trying to get them the most money. But we'll see.
Blake Snell hasn't signed yet. Cody Bellinger still hasn't signed
Oh
yet.
yeah, it's Snell, Bellinger, Montgomery, and there's one more. I don't remember who it is, but like those are four very big names that I'm hoping sign very soon with somebody.
Right. I mean, spring training is right around the corner, so hopefully
Hmm.
we do get a signing within that time period.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Make sure you go ahead and follow us on Twitter if you're not already doing so at Fab Five Betters on Twitter. Join our Discord. Link will be in bio. Link will be in the excuse me the episode
Yeah, it'll
descriptions.
be in the link tree in the episode
Yeah, so
description.
Linktree will be there in the episode description, so you can just join from right there. You can always watch our previous podcast episodes on YouTube. You can listen to them on Spotify.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much it, y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you all here next week.